All right. So today, thank you guys so much for joining on a Tuesday at 4 o'clock. That is not always the best time of the day, right? But I'm so happy that y'all are here. Like I said earlier, we are going to record this session. I do want this session to be very open. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to unmute because I want you guys to get the most out of this that you can. And we're really going far back to basics when it comes to AI. So if you haven't touched AI, that's awesome. You're going to learn a lot of things today that you didn't know before. If you are somebody that has used AI before, or you use it frequently, please feel free to tell us what you're doing, because I always think the smartest person in the room is the room, and I would love to learn from you guys as well. So any tips and tricks that you have would be amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to dive in. All right. Give me one sec. I'm going to come over here. Okay. Noelle, give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay, perfect. We're ready to rock then. Okay, so we are jumping into AI Made Easy. This is back to the basics for busy counselors or admin or social workers, whoever is here today. As we dive in, do not forget that we are your CLCs. Now, these are AI image generated pictures of your counselor, leader, coordinators, and of course, our favorite Papa K can't read. We won't be talking about how to make images with AI today, but we will be talking about a lot of other great things. This will be coming down the pipe later. But that's our information if you ever need to contact us. And then for me, I am Hannah Mick. I am a school counselor at Indian Hills in Topeka. It's an elementary school. I've got a therapy dog named Piper. I am the current Kansas Counselor of the Year, and just found out that I am the one of the 2025 ASCA School finalists. So I'm very excited about that and honored, but also having a little freak out because that's crazy, man. And my good pal Mal is on here with me. She's a CLC too. She is my co-host today, and we also co-host many things together. We co-host a podcast called Kicking It with Casca. So if you haven't been listening to that, please do so, because it is a good time. All right, enough about me. I love throwing in a little Zoolander, right? AI is so hot right now, and it has been for a while. It's been a hot topic in a lot of different places, all over the workforce, really, because it's changing the way that we do things and the way that we think about things. So, oops, sorry, didn't mean to click that. Today, this is kind of what we'll be going over. What is artificial intelligence? So you learn a little bit about what AI is. Then we're going to talk about prompt engineering. So how can you use AI to best benefit you? And then we'll talk about ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and then we're going to touch on Canva's AI, because man, if you get into Canva's AI, oh my gosh, there is so much cool stuff we can do. And that will be a whole other webinar all on its own, because there's just so much great things that you can do with Canva to make your practice a little bit more seamless. So I am going to read this verbatim because I think everybody freaks out when I read it. So it says, artificial intelligence refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines that are designed to think and act like humans. This encompasses a variety of technologies, including machine learning, natural language processing, and robotics. So when people hear that, we naturally go to the worst place and we think, right? We think that the robots are coming to attack us. They're taking our jobs. What is happening? This seems scary. And you're right. It does seem scary. But once you learn more about it, you're going to realize, man, it's not so scary. It's more of a tool that can help me out. So really, it is more of, we've been living with AI for a while, whether we know it or not. So all of our virtual assistants at home, like Alexa, Siri, Google Assistants, any of those use AI to help generate answers and help you find the things that you're looking for. Navigation apps, man, I remember when I was in college, I think my freshman year, I still had to use MapQuest because I didn't have a phone that had Google Maps on it yet. So Google Maps and Waze use AI as well to help calculate fastest routes and predict, you know, traffic conditions and things like that. And then last but certainly not least, Netflix and Amazon, they use AI to recommend to you the next thing to watch. You liked this on Netflix, so you'll probably like this. This was in your Amazon shopping cart, so you definitely need this. That's gotten me several times, right? So we've actually been living with AI for quite some time. We just didn't realize it. This I got from Travis True. And if you're not following Travis True on Twitter and all the socials, you need to, because he is awesome. He is a tech guru. He works in Topeka 501 with MalPal, and he has really jumped on the AI train and knows a lot about it. But this is one that he showed to me, and I thought this was great. So AI basically is what it's saying on this side is it's going to streamline a lot of things, and it's in all of our lives and industries. It's not killer robots like I showed you earlier, and it's not just for really smart people, and it's not alive. But the thing to remember is it's not going anywhere. So that's why I'm so glad you guys are on here today, because we're going to have to learn how to use it, and we'll also need to learn how to use it with our students. I should say today, everything that we're going to do is teacher facing. So it's all things that are going to directly benefit you. And in another webinar, we'll do things that are student facing instead. So we'll show you ways that will benefit your students, how you can use AI safely and ethically to benefit your students. AI in the workforce. So these are some things that are happening in the AI world right now in the medical field. It's crazy. It is analyzing and in detecting breast cancer faster than humans can. It's detecting these patterns that humans miss, and it's being able to do that faster, which is great for all of us. And in the business world, it's figuring out what kind of products we need, and it's replacing that human guesswork. So a lot of different industries are really starting to use it, and it's very beneficial. For us, you know, AI in the future, in 2 to 5 years, we can assume that all writing has been touched by AI, which is crazy to think about. I think about how much of it I'm noticing anymore that has been touched by AI as well. I'm starting to kind of tell, like Facebook posts or emails and different things. The next thing to think about is ChatGPT has 1.5 billion lifetimes of information. That's a lot. How many lifetimes of information do we have as a counselor or an educator to give to our kids? We just have one, right? So this is something that we really need to tap into because it has so much great information. When today's first graders graduate from high school, ChatGPT will be 1 billion times smarter than a human, which is crazy to think about. And by 2027, AI will have a conscious ethics and values. That is one that I challenge. I think it could happen faster, because my mom was in a situation. We have a really good friend, and she's a social worker. And the social worker reached out to my mom and said, "Hey, I have a really crummy situation. Can you help me out?" My mom said, "Well, I'm at the airport, but I can try." So the social worker said, "Well, I'm in an IEP meeting with all of these educators and the admin and the parents of this kid's family, and it's all going really south. It's not a productive meeting. Everybody's really upset." And so they said, "Go ahead and take 5." And everybody went and kind of had a water break. Well, when the social worker got up, she went and walked behind the admin's chair, and the admin had up on his computer some images of just say like scantily clad ladies. Like they weren't, you know, maybe in bathing suits, something like that, but obviously something that was not okay and something that was just super inappropriate. So she saw that and was thinking, "Oh my gosh, we're at this meeting. This is going on. What is happening?" So she texts my mom all of this, and my mom said, "Okay, well, let me think about it." And like, just like that, sends her this email to send to the admin. And the social worker looks over and she goes, "Oh my gosh, this was so nice. This was way more empathetic than I would have said. How did you do this so fast? And I'm glad that I sent this to you." And my mom said, "Well, I actually just put it into ChatGPT, which we're going to look at today. And that's how you got this information." And she was like, "Whoa, so I'm going to have to use this." But ChatGPT was way more empathetic towards the admin than the social worker or my mom would have been. So I do challenge that might happen sooner than we think. Okay, so what does this mean for us? I know a lot of people are like, is AI going to take my job? As counselors and educators, no, AI is not going to take our job, but it's going to become a big part of it. We're going to need to use it, and you're going to want to use it because it's so helpful, and it's going to free up time for you to have more time with your students and your family outside of school as well. As educators, we do need to understand that how to use AI so that we can best equip our students. So that's what I'm hoping you gain from today. And then this is just my prediction. I am not an expert on AI, as nobody really is, as we're all learning this together, but AI literacy will be the next equity gap, I really think. And AI literacy refers to the ability to understand, use, and evaluate AI. And we want our kids to be able to do that. So if you are a school counselor on this call, you're already ahead of the game because you are figuring out what's going on here and how can we best use it, and then how can we best serve our students with it. So you are in the right place. Okay, so we are going to learn about some tools that will help us as educators. And I do see there is one thing in the chat I was going to see. Oh, IT King Mouth House talking about Travi True. Okay, I was just checking to make sure it wasn't anything that we needed to check on. All right. So we will talk about how ChatGPT works, and then we'll talk about a few do's and don'ts with it. Think about ChatGPT as like a thought partner. It's somebody that is sharing ideas with you. Like my slide says, it's like a smart assistant that has been trained to read a massive amount of text. It doesn't think or learn like humans do, but it does recognize patterns in language. So when you ask it a question, it uses what it's learned to form a response. And the responses are usually pretty darn good. But when you input data into something like ChatGPT or Google's Gemini, they're what we call open source. And open source means that the information that we dump in, it keeps, and it uses it to learn from. So for instance, it does make it cool because like ChatGPT, I've used it quite a bit to email families and different things. It has learned how I like to email people and the tone of voice that I use when I email. So it starts to learn you and know what you like. And so the output ends up becoming better. But that also means that when it's collecting all of this information, we need to be really careful when you put in information. So the one thing I definitely want educators to know is never, ever, ever put any personal information or data about you or your students into ChatGPT or Gemini, because again, they use that to learn, and then it's just out there. I mean, we don't really know where it goes at this point, but it's there. So it's not like a website where you might enter your data and then that's safe. This is just kind of out in the open. There are lots of like Magic School and School AI, which we're not going to talk a lot about today. They are tools that don't keep the data. So they're pretty, they are a little bit safer to use for students. But for you, I mean, as an adult and an educator, you can use ChatGPT and Gemini. But like I said, it learns from the prompts that you put in, and the more you use it, the more it gets to know you, which is great, but also be careful. And there is a lot of cool data stuff it can do. I mean, it can look through data sets. It can do all kinds of neat stuff. Just make sure that that data is not identifiable. All right. These are all different ideas. So once you get into ChatGPT or Gemini, you can have it write you a lesson plan, create you a newsletter. You can have it make a set of 6 sessions of group for you. I've had it make a Jeopardy style review game at the end of the year last year, which turned out awesome. But a lot of times when we put information in, I like to think about it as like ice cream flavors. So when you put a prompt in and you get something back, ChatGPT and Gemini are going to be able to give you like your standard flavors. They'll give you a vanilla, which is great. They'll give you a chocolate, which is great. They'll give you a strawberry, which is great. But you know, it's not going to have the bunny tracks or the salted caramel mocha, right? You are going to be the one that's going to have to put the creativity into it. So while this is going to help, remember, you're still probably going to have to be the creative one, but it will give you lots of great ideas. So when you go into ChatGPT, I like to follow this 4-step prompting, and it really helps. One is assign a role. So you tell it what you want it to be. You're going to give context, give a command, and then you want to tell ChatGPT to ask you questions. And that is really where you get the best bang for your buck. Or ChatGPT is free. So, there's no money paying there unless you do pay for the upgraded version. So assigning a role and setting the tone, that means you want to tell ChatGPT what you want it to act as. So for me, I always start out with, you are a school counselor, and then I'm going to move into what I want it to do. You can also set the tone right away through that too. You're a friendly school counselor, or you're a professional school counselor. And that kind of helps guide the answers that you will put in through ChatGPT. Then you want to give it some context. So if I said you're a school counselor, you're a school counselor working on a back to school newsletter for families, or you are a school counselor working with 3rd and 4th graders who are learning about the difference between a fixed and growth mindset. You're a high school counselor who's working on reference letters for graduations or for graduating seniors. So that's kind of that background information that they might need to know in the context. Then you want to give it a command. The more clear and direct instruction you can give, the better. So from one of our previous examples, this might be something that you write out as a prompt. You're a school counselor working on a back to school newsletter for families. You'll create a friendly, upbeat, 1-page newsletter welcoming families back to school. You will remind them of the role of the school counselor and the services you provide. So, you might even say, I'm a little bossy, right? I'm like, you will do this, you will do that. And that's fine. That's how you can tell ChatGPT just what you want it to do. If I'm doing the lesson one, you're a school counselor working with 3rd and 4th grade students who are learning about the difference between a fixed and growth mindset. Create a 40-minute lesson plan with 3 stations. Create a worksheet that travels with them from station to station. So it will create the worksheet for you. The other thing, if you are an elementary person and you are working on a specific set of standards, tell it I want this to be with this standard, or I pull from ASCA standards and have it write the lesson based on that standard. And it will do that too, which is so darn cool. The options are endless. And then third, you want to give it a command. So
Stop.
Okay, stop. We're stopping.
Sorry, I thought I was on mute. I'm talking to the dog.
I was like, okay, great. I wanted this to be an interactive session. I am ready.
She did give you a command,
right? She gave me a command. So I was like, let's do this. Let's do this. Well, Rhonda, now you have to, no, I'm just kidding. We won't make you share. But you can give clear and direct instruction. So you're a high school counselor working on reference letters, which I know you high school counselors have lots to do with that. Write a letter for a senior girl. Remember, I'm not saying names, but I'm giving some context. President of NHS, has great grades, is a member of Circle of Friends, and is on the tennis team. She's friendly, driven, and a good student. Okay, this will give me a decent letter. And I didn't put in any information that really, some of it could identify her, sure, but this is pretty safe. And then and if you wanted to spice it up after this, that's great, but it will give you a start. And a lot of times that's really what I need. I'm typically a pretty creative person, but I always get like writer's block. I have a hard time starting. So that's where ChatGPT can come in and really help you. Number 4, the last part of our prompting process is tell ChatGPT to ask you questions. And this, I'm telling you, this is the most important part. At the end of your prompt, tell it to ask questions. Ask questions for clarification. Do you have any questions? Do you need information? What questions do you have for me? And this is where it really starts to figure out what you want, which is great. So just changing those prompts that we had, you're a school counselor working on a back to school newsletter for families. You'll create a friendly, upbeat 1-page newsletter welcoming families back to school. You'll remind them of the role of the school counselor and the services you provide. Ask questions for clarification. So I am going to, these are the other prompts. We can come back to them later, but let's go to that one. So I typed into ChatGPT and I took screenshots of what ChatGPT told me, because I did a webinar, maybe 2 weeks ago, where I had up Zoom, I had up ChatGPT, and I had up Canva, and my computer was not having it. It was like on overload. So I hope that it's okay that I've just used screenshots and I'm not doing like a live feed of what's going on. But once you log into ChatGPT, it's super simple. You just get a bar and you type in your prompt. So if my prompt was the one about the newsletter, here is what ChatGPT asked me. The questions it had, it said, here are a few suggestions to ensure your back to school newsletter hits all the right notes. So as I looked through this, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, it asked me the theme of the year. I didn't even think about that. Like, incorporating a theme into your newsletter is great. It says, would you like me to include any photos or images? I'm probably not going to put those in because, again, I'm still a little leery about what's safe and what's not. And I'm probably not going to put my school name and mascot in either right now. I can do that on my own because I'm not wanting to put too much information out there. Same with my contact info. So I might put in the theme and that would probably be it. And I'd give it that. Or if you don't have any, you say, nope, this is what I had above is great. Go for it. Another suggestion I do have for you is, especially if you're just starting out, right here where it's got your thumbs up and thumbs down, those are really important. That's another piece of how the AI learns. So if you liked these questions it gave you and you thought they were good, I thought they were good, give it that thumbs up. If it was not what you wanted, give it the thumbs down, and then a little pop-up will come up and it will ask you, why was this not what you thought you wanted it to be? And really type in your response in there and let it know why this wasn't exactly what you wanted. And it learns from that, which is so cool. So then you're going to start getting more and more things that are more like what you're looking for, more your style. Okay, so then this is from Google Gemini. So when I typed in that same prompt, it already wrote me the letter. And I was like, this is actually pretty good. It was like, welcome back, families. What is a school counselor? Okay, it hit academic, social, emotional. Okay, the thing it's missing is maybe career, but not bad, not bad. How can I help? And then it talks about individual counseling, group counseling, classroom guidance, parent consultations. And if you have any questions, I'm like, this is actually pretty good. So if I wanted to make sure it included, the third domain of career, I would just type that in and say, please add career as to something that a school counselor does, career planning and things like that. So not too bad. With the next one, I did the lesson plan example. So remember, I told it to make one that was a 40-minute lesson. And I was like, all right, let's see what it does. So it didn't ask me questions on this one. But I've tried, I've used this a lot to make lesson plans. So maybe it kind of felt at this time it knew what I wanted. But on this one, it says, okay, objective, introduction. We're going to explain the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. That sounds great. We're going to share examples in class. Okay, I'm on. And now station 1, we're going to sort mindsets. Okay. Students will sort a series of statements into 2 what? I don't have a series of statements. I don't have, and this is where a lot of people get stuck. They're like, well, it made a lesson, but I don't have this series of statements. I don't have these things. And so I'm going to try something else that I do have. But really, I want everybody to like keep calm because there's a great solution to this. So in the chat, what do you think you would do if you got to that point? You're like, this looks like a great lesson, but I don't have this stuff. What do you do then? And any answer is a great answer. Or if you have questions right now, that's a good time to ask as well. So go ahead and drop those in. Rhonda, don't you even worry. I see your message now. You are good, girl. Yeah, so Terry Perry, best name ever, says tell it to write it. Tell it to generate it for you. Yes, have it write you some. Absolutely. Yeah, so you just keep going with the flow. You tell it to do it. So you're going to ask it to make you a list of those growth versus fixed mindset statements. So I asked it to go ahead and make me I think I did this wrong. I said, better yet, have them make it into a document that is ready to cut out. So I asked if it would make me a document of these. And at first it gave me a CSV. I'm not a big Excel girl, but I could deal with that. That would work, right? It put them into an Excel sheet. I'm ready to print them and then I could cut them out. I'm more of a PDF kind of gal myself. So I asked if it would turn it into a PDF. Now I've mixed these slides up. So when I asked it to make me a PDF, it gave me one and I downloaded it and it didn't look good. So then I said, can you make the sentences larger and in 2 columns that could be cut out? It tried it again. I had to do this several times before it got something that I liked. So It's not very good at this yet. It probably would have been easier if I just would have used it and printed it from that CSV file, or if I would have just taken the 2 examples and made my own. So that was what ChatGPT came up with. When I asked Google Gemini the same thing, it said, unfortunately, I can't create a PDF document, but I really liked how it laid these out. I was like, ooh, I could plop that into a Google Doc real quick and print these out, and that would be no problem. And I thought they were pretty good, right? Fixed mindset. I'm not smart enough. I'm afraid of failing. Growth mindset. I can do this if I try hard. I can learn this with practice. So pretty good examples. Even though it wouldn't create me a PDF, I still like the response.
And Hannah, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
When I first started talking to Travis about AI, we were talking about, oh, you want to be polite and say, please and thank you, because if it should come alive for some reason, haha, it wants to thank you, are a good human. But really,
Yes.
you want to boss it around, right? Like you want to just get to the
You do.
meat of it.
You
Right.
want to be very direct. So think about just, sometimes how we need to be direct with students, like, okay, sit down, get out your book. We don't always, I mean, it's nice to say, please sit down, please get your book. But if it's a thing that it's a non-negotiable, like right now, everybody's sitting down and everybody's getting out their book, that kind of stuff, right? And teachers, we're finding, are really good at prompting because we do this all day, right?
All day long.
But you're right. You do not have to use please and thank you. You can, in case we are worried that they're like going to Arnold Schwarzenegger us and become like laser beam robots, but you don't have to.
No, you don't. And another thing too, and I really like how you did it with the 2 different platforms.
Yeah.
But if you don't like what it comes up with, say, give me more, give me more, give me more. And you can keep doing that. And it still generates ideas. It's so cool.
And if it's too formal, tell it you want it to be more friendly, or if it's too long, tell it to shorten it. Or if you have word constraints, I need this to be done in 50 words, tell it that. And it will do those things for you, which is just, it's awesome. So good points, Mal. Okay, so now you guys, we're coming back to that chat. Maybe you're already using ChatGPT and Gemini. But how can you see yourself using it, or do you have any questions at this time? You can drop them in the chat, or you could unmute. The other thing to think about too is ChatGPT and Gemini are both great platforms to use. I've heard as of recent that more people are moving towards Gemini and away from ChatGPT. I think Gemini does have some things that are nice features. Like, for instance, if I go to look for YouTube videos, ChatGPT will often give me YouTube video links that don't work, whereas Gemini will give me YouTube links that are ready to rock. So all those times that we spend like searching for that perfect video, Gemini can pull that up. So anyways, I digress. Go ahead and plop some questions or ways that you're currently using it or would like to use it in the chat.
Hannah Val writes that thank you for the information, and she's been avoiding this, but she's going to give it a try after seeing and hearing this with a bit of practice. Proud of you, Val. You can do it, Queen.
And feel free, you can reach out to Mallory or I anytime if there are questions that you have about this. But it's very simple and it's not as scary as people think. I know people have told me, like, once I said that like your Alexa and Siri or AI, they're like, oh, I use it all the time. So, okay, I can do this. So you go, Val. Okay. Any other questions or how you guys are currently using ChatGPT and Gemini before we move on? All right. I wasn't planning on showing you guys much of Magic School today, but if you are like a true AI novice, I do think Magic School is a great place to start. I'm just going to pull it up and show you just a very few things. What I like about Magic School is you don't have to be super techie. But I like making you go through the ChatGPT and Gemini and how to prompt first, because I want you to really know how to do all the good things. But if you go to Magic School, which is free, and you can sign up. Look at all of these things that you can do. It's got a professional email, an email responder. There is a 504 plan writer. Like, can you believe that? I don't know where I saw that earlier. But there's all kinds of good stuff. You can write a song, a Jeopardy review game. And the cool thing about these are that they walk you through it. So if you click on the Jeopardy review game, it really walks you through it. So what grade level are you at? And then your topic, standard, or objective, categories, and then generate. And it's really cool. So the thing that I have learned though with these things, I'm elementary. So if I want to do something with 6th graders, I have learned that I say it's like way lower. I say it's 3rd grade or 2nd grade because some of the language is just too difficult still. So just make it way lower than you think. But Magic School is a great place to go because it's, again, you don't have to be a tech expert. Look at that IEP generator. Who doesn't need that? I mean, we probably don't as counselors, but I know my school psych has asked me for some help in writing some goals and some different things. And I used ChatGPT, and she's like, how did you come up with those? And I said, oh, I'm just that smart. And then I said, I'm actually not. It was ChatGPT. So this is just a good resource that I wanted to share with you guys too. Okay.
Another great one with that Magic School AI is making those songs like you mentioned. I was tasked with the job of training about GEI or SIT, everybody's favorite topic at the beginning of the year. Yeah. And I had Magic write a song, and it was hysterical, and everybody loved it. And actually the staff still sing it. So that is something super fun that you can use. And like Hannah said, it's not difficult, and you can change it up to different genres. It is so fun.
It is. It's a good time. And then there's another one called Suno AI that will actually like create a song for you. Not just like make the lyrics, but I mean, it will play it like a rock band plays it or different things like that. That one, I will tell you, would be one that you would just want to use as an adult and not let students use it because it does collect the data. But maybe you could have students try it out if they gave you their prompt or something like that fun, which could be really cool for a lesson or a group, I think. Okay, Magic Studio in Canva. It is crazy. The amount of stuff Canva can do is nuts. The first time I actually decided to try out Canva, I wanted to try out their Magic Write feature. This was before I really knew about ChatGPT, but I had a student in my school whose mom had passed away from cancer. And my principal had reached out to me and said that the family wanted to let the other students in their class, their families know what had happened because we are a close community, and they just kind of wanted to let them know what was going on. And so my principal had tasked me with doing that. Well, I don't love to write emails in the first place. So I was like, oh no. And I was really thinking like, I don't know what I'm going to write. And it's really, I'm having a hard time with it too, because this is such a sweet kiddo. And, so I was like, all right, I'm going to try this Magic School thing out. So I get onto Magic Write, and it writes the letter for me. And the great thing about that was it freed up time for me to spend with the student. So instead of me wasting all this time being worried about writing the right thing, this was able to do it for me in a very professional, kind way. And I was able to spend a lot more time with my kiddo. So when you go into Magic School, you can go into a doc if you like. And this is where your Magic Write happens. You can use this not even in a doc. You can use it in a presentation. You can use it in all kinds of different ways. But once you click on Magic Write, it will ask this prompt for you to use 5 or more words to describe what you want it to write about. And this one I said strategies on time management for middle schoolers. And it gave me all of these: break tasks into smaller steps, avoid procrastination, limit distractions. Okay, I like those. And then once I, decide I enjoy them, I click on insert and stick it into my document. And then there they are. Now we'll come back to these in a minute. I also found out about a really cool app just recently where it's within Canva. So the app is called Carousel Studio. So you would go into Canva, you'd write Carousel Studio, and then you'll see it right below. You would click on your Carousel Studio, and then, oh, there it is again. I just said use it in a new design, but you could use it in an existing PowerPoint or something like this. But what the carousel is, if you've seen like on social media when they have like a bunch of boxes that you can go through, that's a carousel. This will also let you do slides, which is cool. So I just did a Facebook post, but you can have it do a slideshow presentation. So you can scroll through, like above, it says video and whiteboard here, like somewhere above that, it does say presentation. So you could have it do it on that. But what it does is you'll click on enter a topic, and then my topic was, for this one, was FAFSA tips for parents and families. I thought, what will it come up with here? And what it did was it said, okay, stay organized, begin the FAFSA application process as soon as it opens in October. I'm not a high school counselor, but I'm sure that this is good info. Use the IRS data retrieval tool. Okay, that sounds like legit information too. But if I don't like any of these, I can edit them. So if I'm like, be on the lookout. Maybe you want to be on the lookout in September to know it's coming in October. Or maybe this is tricky because some of our families might not be documented, right? So let's find out what are some other tips that we can give to support. Anyways, it came up with all these on its own. You just kind of, this is review the info, and then you're going to pick what colors you want it to make. Oh, sorry. No, go back. And it's going to come up with all of these slides for you, which is crazy. So it sticks them all on a thing. Now, as you can see here, this isn't the most beautiful thing ever, but the content is there. You didn't have to make it. So the same would go with a slideshow. The content is there. You don't have to make it up. You can kind of fix it up, which is really cool. So these are just kind of some quick magic tool or magic school, Magic Write and Canva tricks for today. Cause like I said, I just really wanted to kick it back to the basics for you guys, but I do want you to ask questions or feel free to tell us what you've been up to when it comes to AI as well. So that's really all I have for you guys for today, but if you have, we do have a feedback form, and I'll send it your way in the chat, and then I will get back to the main screen and see if there are things that y'all have questions about. Oh, okay. Chris Lee, yes.
Hannah, there is a chat.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yep. I see Chris Lee asked, what do I think about School AI? I love School AI. In fact, it is my favorite tool to use because there is so much you can do on it that is student facing. So I will be doing two of the tools that I most use with my students are School AI and Curipod. I didn't touch on those today because they are, I would say they're a little bit more advanced than like ChatGPT or Google Gemini, but they're awesome. So like Curipod, if you're interested, I'll drop that in the chat. Curipod will make you a slide deck. So if you are an elementary teacher or an elementary counselor, it will come up, you tell it what you want the slide deck to be, and it will create it for you. So I got in a pickle one time. Full disclosure, it was a Wednesday evening, and I did not have my lesson plans done for the next week. And Thursday morning rolls around, and I knew I had some time at the beginning of the day that I could devote to lesson planning. So I was like, okay, I'm going to lesson plan. I'm going to get this done. Well, I got a call from the district office at about 8:45, which is when school starts. And they called me out to do the crisis team. So I was on the crisis team Thursday and Friday. And then Saturday, I pretty much slept because it was not an awesome situation. And then Sunday, I was preparing to go to a conference that I was presenting at about AI on Monday. So Sunday, I was preparing. Monday and Tuesday, I'm at the conference. I go back to school on Wednesday. And I'm like, okay, Tuesday night, I'm having a little bit of a freak out. And I thought, I'm just going to try this CuraPod thing out. And our lesson of the month, we do Character Strong. So I kind of streamlined my lessons to go along with Character Strong. And I used that, what was it on? It was like on Perseverance or something like that. It made a slide deck for me that I liked. I'd say 75, 80% of the slide deck. So I only had to tweak about 25, 30% to make it what I wanted it to be like. And it worked out great. And when I use CuraPod, my students say that that is their favorite tool that we use, or that was their most favorite thing from the year. When it comes to school AI is so cool because, and you can do this on Magic School now too, but you can create chat bots, and the chat bots can talk kids through, that could talk them through de-escalation. It could talk them through a problem that they're having. The other day, for instance, we started a big project at school, in my classroom, and I was explaining it to the class, and I noticed a kiddo was really like head on the desk, really sad. And I thought, oh man, like I have to get through this today so that they know what's going on, but I know something's going on with that kiddo. So I said, hey, would you try something for me? And she said, sure. So I gave her my computer with the chat bot that I had made on School AI. And I said, this is a chat bot. I always tell them it's not a real person. Okay. And I can see what you're typing in here. I can see all your answers. I said, but if you just need to get something out, if you want to chat with the chat bot, that's fine. And then you can chat with me after class, or I can look up and see what you were talking about. And she said, okay. So she got on, chatted with my chat bot. And after, class was ending, and I said, do you still need to talk to me? She said, no, I think I'm good, but you can see what I wrote. And I said, okay. So I went back in and looked, and she said, my parents are getting divorced and I'm really sad. And I just all of a sudden started thinking about it in your class, and I couldn't get it out of my head, that kind of thing. But the chat bot walked her through, here are some different techniques you could do. You could do some deep breathing. You could draw. I mean, it walked through lots of really good techniques. I've also had it walk kids through using I statements with a friend when they've had problems. I mean, this is so good stuff. So I do plan to do like a school AI and CuraPod session. But again, that's just a little bit more in-depth AI than what we covered today, but it is really cool. So if you want to get in there and start messing with those kind of things, it is awesome.
Hey, Hannah, there's another question from Chrissy Lee. What if I'm looking for more behavioral stuff to recommend for teachers?
Could you explain what you mean by that just a little bit more, maybe?
So,
yeah,
how I'm reading that.
Teachers will hit you with things that you're not ready for. And it sometimes just the idea of just get a few ideas, kind of get the juices flowing again.
Oh yeah. So it's a great place to ask for behavioral strategies. I mean, you could even tell ChatGPT, you are a school counselor, or you're a school social worker. So you're a school counselor, you are working with a student who is very aggressive, and they are flipping tables and become very escalated and yell in the classroom. What are some strategies that I could do to support them? And it will give you some ideas. I know teachers, I feel a lot of times teachers come to you and they want like an answer right then and there. And I don't always have that, right? So I like to tell them, hey, let me get back with you. I need to think about this for a minute because there's a lot going on with this situation. And I agree you need some help, but I need to think about it myself first. So you could give yourself that pause and then go back, and I check with ChatGPT. I even have it on my phone now. So I can do it in the moment if I need to. But it is a good place to do that. Just don't put the student's name in there, but you can
Sure.
put things that they're like behaviors that they're showing. And
Sure.
it gives good ideas. It's come up with me like use a check-in, check-out system. I'm like, okay, I do that. And sometimes it'll tell you stuff you already know,
Right.
but
Sometimes, and I mean, and sometimes you've got teachers doing a whole lot of good stuff, but if nothing else, even if you end up feeding them back the same thing they're already doing, hopefully it's a little bit reaffirming you're on the right track. You're doing some good things, that it's not, now but ChatGPT, Google Gemini, you don't have a preference there?
I I still use ChatGPT more than I use Google Gemini. It used to be that ChatGPT was kind of around first, and but it was only updated to like a certain point in time. I'm going to make up a random year. It was like it's only updated until 2022. So anything that happens after 2022, it doesn't know anything about. And then whereas Google Gemini, it was like it is updated right now, right now, right now. I mean, every second it is updated. I don't know if that's still the case. But I really like the thing I like about ChatGPT is the way it writes. It writes the way I like. Now, you might find that Gemini writes things the way you like. So it's really about, trying the two and seeing. And there's other ones out there. They say Claude is really good if you're writing professional things. So if you're in grad school and you need some help writing a paper, Claude might be a place to go. That is where our ethical part kind of comes in. Like, is it okay to use these tools? I mean, they're there for us. I don't think it's okay to just have it write a complete paper for you. No, but I do think it's okay to get ideas and have a place to start. But I do know that they're asking to cite it, that you use ChatGPT, which I think is fair too. I think ethically you probably should. So, and I put it at the beginning of my presentation today, it's me and ChatGPT. We did this together, right? So those are really good questions though. You just kind of find the one you like the best, but I prefer ChatGPT. Mallory, do you have a preference?
I was just going to add, I use ChatGPT all the time, both in my personal and professional life. I like Gemini. ChatGPT is just my first go-to.
Yeah.
Do I have a reason for that? No. Just it's easy, it's quick.
And no, that's okay. I'm just I as I get older, my mind is a little more rigid, and I really don't want to go out and experiment and say, do a lot of comparisons. I'd like to just go with what gives me the best chance of
Totally get that.
having
Yeah.
success. And I realize you guys have no idea what exactly I'm looking for, but I'm just not one of those people that has a lot of time or patience for trial and error anymore. So, so and I know the supervisor where I work, he said, I use GPT for a lot of things. So I think that's where I'll start out with.
I was
I've
going
been
to say
using
that might
school
be
AI, and the school AI, I could see where you're talking about it being creative, but I really wasn't jiving with it well, and I don't know why that was. But
well, and again, like I said, ChatGPT and Gemini to me are like the basics. Like that's where you should start. If you haven't done anything AI wise, start there, because you're right, Chris. Like when it comes to school AI and Magic School, that can be like overload, like too much.
Yeah.
So I totally understand where you're coming from on that.
absolutely. And Chris, just to add, I think a starting point would be ChatGPT, just because it's super easy, super simple. And if I'm hearing you right, it sounds like you're looking for behavioral ideas to
Mhm.
help for teachers. So just like Hannah said earlier, just boss it around and say, this is what I need for a second grade teacher.
Gotcha.
You can always ask, it'll give you, give me 5 behavioral strategies. If you don't like those 5, give me 5 more.
Give me more. Yeah.
You can always
Gotcha.
ask it to give you more. And it comes up with really great ideas and a lot of them easily implemented kind of things. So, and
Sounds good.
sometimes there are things we know, like set boundaries. Okay, we know that.
Right.
No,
There will
gotcha.
be stuff on there.
But like you said, you can keep working it to get it to churn out more. So I
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah. So, I have a couple teachers here because I was working on AI with them last year, and I would do little Tech Bite Tuesdays. So every Tuesday they could come and hang out in the morning, and I would show them a different tech tool. Well, they came in one day and they're like, this is stupid. You said this was going to be so easy. And I put in this prompt and I said, okay, what didn't you like about it? It was too long. I said, okay, shorten it. It was too formal. Make it friendly. Like you literally type those things in there. Or I didn't like what it gave me. Tell it that. Put the thumbs down. Tell it why. Because that's how it learns. So think of it as, if you've never used it or you're just starting out, this is like a new assistant that you're training, right? They're your counseling assistant and they're going to help you out, but they don't know you yet, right? They don't have that relationship with you. They don't know how you tick and how you think. And once they start to know that, it's going to become easier and easier and easier to get the outputs that you want from it.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate your sharing your expertise.
No problem. And like I said, I'm no expert, but That's the great thing about it. We can all learn from each other, but you are surely welcome. Are there any
Hannah,
other-
there's another question
Yeah.
from M. Norton. Is
Yes.
chatbot multilingual? Examples, speak in Spanish to a student, but show in English for me.
Yes, I have heard that I don't have a lot of bilingual students at my school, but I have heard, let me just try it. Let me see if it will do it for us. I know my computer wasn't loving that the last time, but we'll
And
see.
Hannah, while you're trying that,
Yes.
M. Norton, I work at Woodson Elementary in Topeka for 501, and we have a Spanish track in our different grades. And we have a lot of Spanish only speaking students. And there is a great app on, if you are an iPhone user, just called Translate. And if you talk into that, it will translate it into the language, and then they can talk back to it and it will do in their language and also English. So not necessarily AI, what Hannah's presenting, but that app is really helpful too. But I know that Hannah's pulling up the ChatGPT with that.
Okay. And I'll type this needs to be in Spanish and English. Do you understand? And I wrote I misspelled things. Guess what? ChatGPT figures it out. It's pretty darn smart. Okay, so it looks like, yeah, I understand. Here's a bilingual explanation. So let's see. Okay, so below here it is. Now I can't read Spanish, so I can't tell you if it's good to go or not, but it would give you this, and then you have what it looks like up top. So I thought that it did, but I knew that some are a little bit different. So yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing. Sorry, I'm clicking all kinds of things again. So that's a good toolio to use too. And I know School AI for sure will translate things into Spanish as well. So, okay. Are there any other questions before we sign off for the evening? Happy to answer them. You guys had great questions and we appreciate you being on.
A lot of people have to bounce out for other meetings, but everybody's very appreciative, Hannah. Great
Perfect.
job, sister.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. And we will be putting out some more stuff on AI that goes a little bit deeper. Oh, there's Amanda. And hi, Leo. We'll be putting out some more stuff on that is not so basic. If you are interested, because like I said, we're going to have to teach our kiddos how to use this in a way that is safe and ethical if we want them to be where they need to be when they get to middle school, high school, and beyond. So thank you guys again and have a great evening.